And we are live.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, son.
Let's get it.
Oh, it just popped up on my YouTube also, man.
Yep.
So he can see it there if he's a member.
Yeah. So, let me give him the official link, and then we can get this
Oh,
ball on the
and man, what
road.
you got going on back there? You got a podcast, Daddy? Yeah, go lock yourself in the bathroom, man.
Yeah, we good. We good. Sorry for the interruptions.
All right. From the YouTube page, let's get the links. Boom. Sending this to Pope.
Yo, I can't even read my own notes. Hold on, get over here. Oh.
Yep.
Hold on.
And then on the Google page, people can see this too. Boom.
Excuse me. Sorry, y'all.
Just do a little quick test. Boom.
We'll just cut out this intro in the beginning when we record it as a podcast, right?
Yep, pretty much.
Cool.
All right, everybody ready?
I think Ann walked away. Ann, you here?
I'm here.
Oh, I thought you said hold on.
All right. Welcome everybody to the Table of Truth. This is your man Cam. As always, I got with me.
What up, y'all? It's Dwayne.
What's going on? This is your boy Ant. Let's go.
What's going on? This is a special guest, Josh.
And we are here with another jam-packed edition of the Table of Truth. It's been a while. Been away for a bit. Life has been kind of crazy. But today we're going to talk special episode, do a Black Lives Matter episode, talk about all the craziness that's been going on. We got a lot of questions, a lot of topics to kind of go over. But and also too, shout out to everybody that's been watching live, which has been kind of crazy. So we'll keep the N-words down a little bit, but we can't really. All the profanity might still come out though.
Now we'll try to keep it to a minimum, especially with this topic.
Yes, definitely. But yeah. So what sparked all this is the recent protests. I mean, the ongoing deaths of black people in general by the police. But in general, like, fellas, how do you guys feel just about what's going on in general? Like all this. Well, Josh, I'm gonna let you go first since you're the guest. Take it away.
Such a loaded question. I feel a bunch of things.
Yeah.
I mean, the obvious disregard for the black body, for black lives, the damage that it does to the overarching black psyche, just having to explain stuff to your kids, just the litany of things that you have to deal with in terms of just sort of embracing this as a reality and trying to do something to stem the tide, to make a difference, to make it different, to stop it altogether. It just seems like such a daunting task. There's so many emotions that bubble up. There's fear, there's anger, there's definitely anger. I had to go to a party just to calm down over the weekend.
Yeah, it was bananas.
It was real. But yeah, my sister literally was like, "Yo, we gotta get you out the house because your Facebook page is bananas with all militant pro-black. Somebody's gonna assassinate you."
I want to give a shout out to the NSA. They love listening to the Table of Truth. And
Yeah, holla.
Awesome.
So, yeah, I mean, like I said, it's kind of crazy. And also, myself and Josh both work at BET. So being in a workplace of majority of black people when crazy stuff against black people are going on is even another feeling. So that's also been kind of interesting. And I know, Dwayne, you've been on the West Coast and how things are over there.
I guess in my neighborhood, I'm in like downtown Long Beach, so I don't really see a difference. I'm not in the Snoop Dogg section of LBC, but still just like going around seeing things, just even like talking to other people. It's exactly what Josh said. You just go through so many different emotions. You're tired, you're angry. Some people are scared. People are pissed. People are uncertain of what's going to happen next. I can tell you one thing. Like when I saw what went down this week, Like I was drained. Like I couldn't get sleep for a few days. It was just like a weight was on my chest, on my shoulders. It hurts, man. Yeah, I feel like we're holding our breaths, man. That's how it feels right now. Like I can't breathe. That's exactly how I feel when I think about the situation.
Yeah, the first thing that messed me up was seeing him die in front of his daughter. And as a parent, like I can only imagine you watching yourself die in front of your child and you can't do nothing about it. So it was always one thing to say, that you see it on TV, they talk about it on the news, but to see it live and direct,
Yeah, I never seen anything
it
like
was
that.
surreal. And I'm not gonna lie, I had a lot of anger built up. It was that kumbaya was again out the window because I will repeat, I don't. If my son was to pass, no street corner sign, no barbecue, no
No
parties,
hashtag.
no hashtag is gonna ease my pain. So
Mm.
just so I have to leash out on the strength of one, you're going to know how I'm going to feel for the rest of my life, which is going to be anger, and you're gonna know that. So that was my first instinct, and it was scary, man. It was very very scary. That was my first initial thought. Was like, man, I'm telling you right now, if somebody was to do that to my son, I'm on my straight punisher shit. I'm going to jail.
Hmm.
That's how I felt at that moment in time because again, there's nothing that you could tell me that's going to ease my pain. So that was my first reaction of all of this.
It just feels like I said in the chat that we have, like it's like that the movie with Bill Murray, Groundhog Day. Like it feels like it's the same thing. Just like even when I first heard of the deaths, I was like, is this old? That's automatically what I thought. I'm like, this can't be this week. And then when I found out that it just happened, I'm like, wow, you got to be kidding me.
I mean,
Not that I should be surprised, but I'm like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah,
the
I
the
mean,
thing.
oh, go ahead, Josh.
Sorry, the thing that threw me off the most was like I went from like -10 being numb to like 20 to +20 anger in like 48
Hmm.
hours. The first dude, I was just like, God, again, I don't
Yep.
believe this. Then you find out there's a video, and I definitely went from numb to like straight up, just like, yo, they straight just executed this dude in the middle of the street in broad daylight. And
Hell
before
yeah.
I could even wrap my head around that, the second brother he gets blasted. And then on insult on top of injury, it's already bad. It's already wrong. He's already dead. He's already murdered. But then you find out he had an open carry permit. And you're like, well, what the hell are we supposed to be able to do? Like the dude was doing what he was supposed to be doing.
Josh, supposedly they said his girlfriend said he didn't take the gun out. Like, so they didn't even see the gun that he had.
Well, yeah, you don't have to take the gun out. You just need to let him know that you have it.
Yeah.
Like if you
I
have
think
it,
that's actually
in
what
his
happened. He actually said, I have a gun, I have a open carry permit, blah 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 blah, and then
He
from
was
there,
reaching for his wallet, is what the
yeah,
story is.
and
Yeah.
then from there it goes to craziness.
But yeah, I didn't even have a chance to wrap my brain around the first incident with Alton
Hmm.
Sterling. Then to have this joint with Mr. Castile happen right on the heels of that, I just went from like numb to raging angry in the space of 48 hours to the point where like you said, like one of y'all said, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep properly. You can ask Cam. I came to work mean mugging all day long the day after.
Yeah, same here.
Just walking the streets, between here and the city, between here and Brooklyn and the city, just mean mugging. It's hard to turn the other cheek. It's hard to be like, well, maybe it was a no. There's no maybe. This is happening too consistently,
Exactly.
and the story's always the same. And my what I think angers me the most is I tend to forecast. I don't as much as you should be in the present moment, as they say in a lot of Buddhist culture, a lot of cultures in general. You should stay in the present moment. I forecast a lot, so my brain is already like, right. So they shot this dude in the chest in broad daylight. They shot the open carry dude in broad daylight in his car in front of his kid and his lady. So this is what's gonna happen. They're gonna go to a grand jury, and then they're gonna get off, and that's gonna be it. That's gonna be it. So
I don't even want to think about the reaction if those guys get off. Which I think you're right. I think it's gonna happen. They're gonna get off again. But
yeah.
whew, man.
Yo,
Good afternoon. Good
good.
night.
Oh, and late edition.
Oh, look who it is.
Snuck in through the back door.
Incognito.
Remix.
What's
Incognito.
up?
That's how we
Damn,
do
what's
it.
going on, man?
I'm good. How y'all feeling?
Yes, sir. Good.
What's the
Be
word?
better, brother.
But
Yeah.
yeah, but again, like I said, I think the majority of the world was more anger than anything else because again, you can't. I'm tired of justifying it. I don't want to hear any more excuses. Either rules about. I guess we'll get into that topic later, but either rules has to change laws, or unfortunately, this is what's going to be the norm. Because this is not Hollywood. There's nothing scripted. Every day is a new story. Every day.
But
So
if this is the new norm, guarantee you there's going to be more dudes. There's going to be more dudes like what happened in Dallas. People are not.
Exactly.
If you're going to keep people under siege like that, know that at some point, if you keep slapping somebody, it's like all these little bully videos that you see online on YouTube. You can
yeah,
slap somebody 100 times. That 101st time might be the one
but
that sets the person off.
yeah,
And then he's gonna pick you up and body slam you. In the
and,
middle of the
and, and,
studio.
and realistically, I can ask this to all of y'all. Who here wants to die today? Who?
Right.
So just off that strength alone, certain people. I'm not advocating violence, but damn it, let's just keep it for what it is. This is not a movie. Certain people out here is not trying to go out like that.
Nope.
Certain people out here is not going to watch their kids go out like that. And you have to understand that's their family. That's their kids. Certain people here have security, can go to limos, or maybe certain people doesn't have those. They can drive home safely. Certain people out here is real, and they got to go through, being prosecuted, being judged every day. It's crazy out here, man. It's literally a war out here.
All right, so now with all the stuff that's going on,
Cam, stop moving around, man.
so with all the stuff that's going on of recently, so recently Melo had an open letter, kind of just like to his fellow athletes on some like, yo, this is not the time to be chill and silent. Do you guys think that more black athletes, actors, and people that have a more higher profile should join in the fight, have a say, have some type of a conversation, or say something about, or say or do? Because a lot of them do on the back end, like whether it's nonprofits, whether it's their own thing, but they be just as vocal, just in general?
Well, I could chime in real fast. I think with some it's going to be harder than others because the decisions that certain athletes make trickles down to a lot of people putting food on the table. So it's going to take a long, hard thought and process before somebody could say, "Yo, we're going to protest everything on the strength of this." Unfortunately, certain people is not in a position to do that. Is that an excuse? It is what it is. Some people, I don't think all is going to do that. I really don't think so.
All the athletes, you mean?
Yeah, I don't think all the athletes are going to do that or come out.
Hmm.
I mean, so I think some will. I think also too, it just depends because I think a lot of times people forget, like, say for instance, like Harry Belafonte and like Muhammad Ali back then, like they were both active doing these stuff because they wanted to. That was their personality. That was their whole joint. So like, but then at the same time, there's tons of athletes and actors that did it. They did stuff silently. They did stuff behind the scenes or any of that. So not necessarily. I don't think every actor in them has to say something, but I definitely do think they if they're not gonna if they're not gonna be like no rah rah, then it's almost like a consensus where like they're all coming together on some like, yo, all of us have gotten together and we are talking about this or supporting XYZ.
Now, do I expect them to be at the Senate and doing hearings? Yes, I expect that because their following is humongous. It's huge. Huge. A lot of these stars from the age of 18 to 25 is millions, thousands that will support them and follow them. So yes, I expect them to fight for changes in their community and state. I expect that.
I'm kind of torn. Like, I know some people aren't going to speak and whatever, but I feel like a lot of these athletes nowadays, they have a brand that they want to protect. So their corporate sponsors are probably telling them, like, mind your business. But just like Cam just said, those activists and entertainers from the 60s, they stood up. This is before, quote unquote, people were brands and all that. Like, if you have a certain feeling and you're not feeling right, you need to speak up. Carmelo wrote a huge, whatever, it was in the newspaper. They threw it up on Instagram. It was everywhere. And I think more athletes do need to speak up. But when you also speak up, I feel like hopefully we all can have like a conversation like we're doing today to figure out what solutions are. Like, it's easy for them if they're really fed up to be like, yo, guess what? We're not playing opening night in the NBA if these things don't change. Like they have the voice and the power to do stuff, and I
But
hope
again,
they do it.
but again, D, I think the struggle has been massaged a little bit when you have a Lambo in your parking lot
Oh, of
and life is
course.
comfortable. So it's just human nature. You're gonna forget the struggle because you're looking at yourself saying that I made it. I'm good.
Yeah, but
Life
also
is great.
too, like Chris Rock had made a good point. He was just talking about the one big difference that we kind of forget is that, back then they were all experiencing extreme racism like on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And in
Exactly.
the next generation, it was like monthly to every other month basis. The next
Hmm.
generation, once every 3 months. So now
Hmm.
a lot of the athletes now, again, they're athletes, so they have racism there, but it's not like a everything. Like they can't. It's not like they're like, yo, you guys can't get on the bus. Yo, you're not getting on the plane. Like they're not getting that racism every single day. So then sometimes they do get a little far
But
removed from it a little bit.
but I will say this though. I think with the gun violence going on, I think we're at that level of it's extreme now.
I
Because
100% agree.
I
100.
now I think we hit
Yeah, they gotta
that
speak up.
point where it's do or die now. Either you're gonna really, you know what? If they don't do it, I will be upset because if you really are passionate about this and you care for what's going on out here, maybe somebody's gonna have to make that sacrifice and say, you know what? I have enough money until the day I die. I'm fighting for this all the way out.
And I think that's the key piece right there. It's a little difficult to speak for other people's dough.
Hmm.
Um, but at the same time, like we all mentioned, like we've been discussing all this time, you have a legacy of activism when it comes to sports. When it comes to matters regarding the community, people have stepped up in the past and have continued to step up in the past. And as you say, as you got further along, a lot of these dudes get a lot further removed from the struggle. But I think that doesn't matter. At least, and again, it's difficult for me to speak without being in their position because I don't have their endorsements. I'm not a brand. I'm not my. I mean, I do have my own business, but I'm not on the level that they are. I
Yeah.
can say whatever I want, and it has a minimal impact. But at the same token, like I say, it's difficult to say. You should sacrifice. That's a personal thing. But at the same time, I kind of feel like, yeah, you should. Like there was a point where you weren't rich. There was a point
Hmm.
where you were driving down you were driving around in the hood and you
So,
did get pulled over or would have.
for some, not to all.
True. There's some that
Some
have
people
the golden
born
spoon some they
to
don't.
what the
Yeah,
struggle
like
means.
Doc
So
Rivers' son. You know what I mean? Like Steph Curry. I don't mean to call them out, but
even the
they're
average
former
person,
athletes.
Light
Yeah.
skin wizardry.
No, but I mean,
even
they
the
probably
average
will.
person.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, what also too, I think, like kind of like when Jay Z kind of infamously said that his presence is activism or whatever craziness he was talking about. It goes back to just like you said, being a little bit more far removed. Where unfortunately in America, if you are other non-white, you're basically the representation of your whole culture at that time. Especially if you're rich. So, yeah, hey, black person that's like an actor or whatever, you said something this. Are you representing of your whole culture? Like, no, dumbass, but I do rep, but you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
so I think a lot of times, a lot of the athletes and a lot of the actors too, they just don't want to be in that position. Like some of them, they're chill. Like they don't have that kind of need. But then there's the other ones, the Jesse Williams, the Killer Mikes, I think a lot of times, like one of the good things I do like about Killer Mike, about having his own business and encouraging other people to create their own businesses and support other black businesses, he always goes back to the dollar because the dollar is actually the thing that will actually affect the most change in a faster way. I think, anyways, I actually agree with him on that.
Yeah, I feel like let's go back to like the 1968 Olympics when who was it? Tommy Smith and John Carlos. They took a stand. They did the black fist when they were on top of the podium. Like, not saying athletes nowadays are going to do that, but they do have opportunity to do that this year to make it more of a discussion. And yeah, I don't want to mess with anybody's money, but yo, you're black. Like, it's affecting your people. Like no matter what, wherever you go, your skin color is not going to change. Like, I
Yeah.
feel like not every athlete, but I'm not forcing people who don't focus on this stuff to speak up because you might sound like an idiot or you might not agree with something, but if it's affecting you and you're sitting back and you're like, I want to say something, but Nike gonna be like, get out of here. Then yo, speak up, man. End of the day, speak up.
When is enough enough? So
Yeah. Well, yeah. Go ahead.
the thing is bigger than money because this again affects everybody. Um,
But
and
just to chime in real quick, it's bigger than money, but that's easy for us to say sitting in our position.
no, no,
You know
no,
what I
no.
mean?
So I mean, we all make money. We all can make sacrifices, whether it get big or small. My level of sacrifice is on par with somebody else's sacrifice. So if I lose my job, that is my livelihood. Because of the stance I take. I had my mom call me and tell me the other day, she was like, don't do anything to threaten your job. I was like, it's bigger than my job. They're out here killing us.
That's right.
Right.
So to sit here and look at the disparity in money, it's all relative to me because I think not only actors and people in prominent positions, athletes should not only stand up because they also have a podium and forum to do so because they're in the limelight, but we as a community also have to step up. We can't put the onus just on athletes just because they're in a position to make some noise. We also can make some noise
Oh
because
no,
the
we
power.
agree. I think that
Yeah,
was just the question. The question was
yeah.
like, what do we think about the athletes? It's not just them.
Right.
Yeah, no, I mean
Yeah, yeah.
athletes. I feel like athletes should step up. If like we all, well, most of us here, I'm assuming, listening to Killer Mike interview and some other interviews where if the athletes wanted to take control and stand as a united front, things will happen. Because when you're bad for business, things will happen.
Yeah.
Like on a different, we can take it back to a different level. So Donald Sterling, the owner, was a racist. He was bad for business, and there was threats of the team not playing and people are going to boycott. When you make a threat and enough noise like that in bunches, the populace will listen. Now the problem is we're all the athletes within that sport come together and really hold down and stick to their guns. I'm not sure, but there is something to be said that athletes more than just one need to stand up. Wearing a shirt saying Black Lives Matter is not going to change anything. You literally got to threaten them and say, hey, we're not going to play because
Exactly.
this is not going down. If they do that, you will definitely make some noise. So I definitely feel like the onus is not only on us and people outside of that forum, but on the athletes as well. They have a responsibility. If you're black, you have a responsibility outside of your occupation to make a stand and a statement. We have to see some type of reform.
Now, on top of that, we're talking about that's just for the athletes and say actors or whatnot. But now with the protests that are going on all over the country, there was ones in New York, there was in Atlanta, there was in Baton Rouge, and so all these protests are happening. People are getting arrested and all that kind of stuff. And me personally, I'm not for protests. Like I because I actually pay attention to politics and civics and all that. Like I know that the protests, though it makes people feel good and it gives it more of a outwardly appearance of solidarity. I know at the actual nuts and bolts, really what it does is it usually throws people at a same economic level in jail, which actually hurts them in the long run because it's like they have to pay for legal fees, blah 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 blah. But then I also know too the people that you actually need to affect are more just sitting back and like, okay, cool, let them protest for a couple days, they'll get them out the system, and then we can go back to being whatever. So I'm saying for you guys, if protests, if you guys do support protests, how can those protests actually make a difference instead of just being fluff, as I might think of it?
Well, let me say one thing. In here in Virginia, they had a little march yesterday, and unfortunately, you have fools literally blocking traffic. And not only is dangerous because somebody could be in the ambulance, somebody probably need to go home to their child. It was just chaotic, and that is what we don't need. If you want to have a message, do not turn it into chaos. It doesn't do anything for anybody. So I really think there needs to be some type of structure, maybe some group leaders, because just marching and acting crazy at night, it becomes retarded. So that
Well, let's look at revisionist history, fellas. When you had a problem with a source, what did you protest at the source? So if you had a problem with your government or the police department in this example, Why not go to the police department in your local neighborhood and protest there instead of blocking the freeway? I don't know what blocking the freeway accomplishes. I don't know what.
Maybe they're on their way to the police precinct.
I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know.
who knows? I'm just
I
saying. I
just
don't
feel
know.
like if you have a problem, you bring the issue to the problem and you
Yeah, to the
confront it
source.
head on to the source. So if I had a problem with the police station or the way the system, not the police, but the way the system is acting, I would be in front of every police station picketing, saying, Black Lives Matter, blah, 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 everything that we have an issue with. Or go to the whatever sources that run this law enforcement. I don't know the hierarchy, but take it to them, because you're getting arrested and protest when I guess Dr. King and all of them marched. They marched down to through Selma, through Washington, wherever the problem was at. They just didn't go arbitrarily to some park and block like the parking lot or something. They actually had a plan of action. Now I'm very ignorant to how protests are run because I've only been in a few. It's either at a city hall or something. So we never really had like a real serious issue like this. It was for lesser known issues, but for something like this, I would think you want to go to the police station, go to your chief of police in your county or your city, and demand change, or have a caucus. Because I see in other situations where the police and the community try to get together and they have this back and forth of trying to discuss the problems. But protest is just a small part of solving this. There was mention amongst some peoples I was talking about, financially you can try to hurt and try to make change. There's various ways to try to make change outside of just protesting. Protesting does serve a means to an end, but to me, I think there has to be a more grandiose plan and a strategic plan to really make some noise in a collective unit, whether it be athletes speaking out, not supporting certain things, keeping your money black owned, et cetera, et cetera. So there has to be a systematic, strategic plan in place that when stuff like this happens, again, we don't forget about it a couple weeks later until it happens again. It has to be checks and balances.
Oh, I don't think the route of just all blacks supporting blacks is going to work, only because not everybody's going to follow suit. And number two, we're too far behind to be saying, "F you, we're just going to support us." I don't.
No,
I
it's
just,
not. It's not that. It's just. It's more along the lines. If you don't agree with something, this goes for everybody, not just black folks. I also have an issue with other minorities not coming together because, like I said, I believe it's not only a black thing, but I think more than black people should be standing up. I feel like this reflects everybody. That's not. I mean, it's non-black. It's a black issue right now, but this affects everybody, and everybody needs to come together. That feels right. If this is unjust, then everybody needs to stick together and band together because that's what they did. The Asians, the blacks, the whites, everybody came together if it was unjust cause. It's just not a black thing, and black people can't do it by themselves.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with that. I think just to piggyback on what you were just saying, Cam, I feel like that's not a point that can be stressed enough. I think that if black people are beefing just by themselves, if we make a lot of noise by ourselves, nothing's going to change. It has to come from all quarters.
Everybody.
It has to come from black people, white people, Asian people. There needs to be more than just us taking up the cause. It can't just be rank and file people on the street like we were talking about with the previous topic. I think it needs to come from prominent athletes, more actors than just Jesse Williams.
You're right, because we only make up 12-13% of the population.
Yeah, and that's the part I
hold
was
on,
actually gonna.
real quick, Cam. I want to talk about the protest part. I think the reason why it's hard to compare protests in the '60s to today is because those were their livelihoods. Civil rights was an everyday, not saying Black lives and police brutality is not an everyday topic, but people were marching about civil rights. They were marching about Vietnam. Like they were. There was no Instagram. Yeah, there was no Instagram for them to get distracted. It was like every single day, this was on their mind. Just like we're saying, like we feel like this topic keeps on coming up, so I feel like we always have to talk about it. And sometimes we don't. We want to feel happy. We don't want to stress and be upset. But those people in the '60s, they had to worry about their rights. And nowadays, unfortunately, this is a topic that we have to speak about every single day until it gets fixed.
Because
Yeah.
yeah,
And
and
also, what I was gonna say too is this, and this is the part that comes. One of the reasons why I'm not the biggest fan of protesting is it's awesome to protest. That's cool. That you get your voice heard, and especially in this era of social media where I can change my profile pictures to all black in solidarity with black people. Blah 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 blah. Um, my thing about it though is one of the things that people oftentimes forget is they're protesting against a system that they actually don't even understand or understand how they're getting messed up by it.
exactly.
And this is the part that really annoys me the most because for someone that actually pays attention to politics and civics and how they're screwing us over, when you're trying to explain to someone like, yo, man, it's cool that you're rioting and protesting, but you actually should be at your local politician's place because this is the person that can affect the most change in your local community right now. Like everyone talks about Trump being elected president, blah 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 blah. That I mean, it sucks, but your local representative, your local congressman can literally do more change
Yep.
in your small community and start from there than like Obama. Because again, Obama's in that exact same position where him taking office, gun sales have soared, like all this stuff. Like people actually like it's actually worse now in terms of guns and how the policing is that Obama's been a president than it was beforehand. And so he can sign all the executive orders in the world, but that doesn't matter when your local hood. When you're right, the police don't live in the hood anymore. They can't even tell you the names of the people that live there. Like those old school things that used to happen 40 years ago.
It is, Ken? I think what you said about the politicians, you're right. When you're done with the protest, come back home and protest with your politician. Like
Right.
just don't go to wherever this march is at and come home and drink a beer. No, continue to be upset. Reach out to your local politician, and then that's how change is going to happen as well. Go ahead, Aaron. Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off.
And to charm it, and like you said, if we're really going to do this and we're all serious, before we can even go to these politicians and lawmakers, we have to go home and do our homework ourselves. Because if we could all memorize movies, music, sports, I could tell you about a sack 10 years ago. I should know about my rights and the laws that govern me every day. So we have to literally do our homework before we walk up to Capitol Hill, because this is the only way it's going to change. And we're sitting there right there in front of these politicians. You have our lawyers, we have our lawyers, and it has to be a war inside the system. We have to go into this system and win it. That's the only way this is going to change, because it's so embedded already. It's going to take an ultimate fight. Especially, I don't want to change subject with the gun laws. It has to end. Guns should be illegal. If you want to hunt, go to a hunting place that just go to like it's an arcade, hunt and go home. But there should be no much. I don't want to hear about it's my right and this. Well, damn it, people are dying off this right.
And see, that's the Wild Wild West mentality of Western culture.
Yeah, we got to do it. It has to happen.
Well, especially American culture. The reason why I say that is because unfortunately in America, it's a right to go and own a gun, but it's a privilege to drive.
And it was also right to hang motherfuckers 400 years ago, and they changed that, right?
Yeah, that's definitely true. So
if they could change that on the strength of people getting massacred, this is exactly what's happening with these guns right now.
And so
these damn laws, man.
And so to that effect, now this is the part that like in a not even on a race part, but just on a gun level part, like we do have we basically do kill more of us than any the Americans kill each other more with guns than anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's an epidemic. It's a disease.
Well, I think the way how the police, like, I get it. Like, I know why people want their guns. They want to feel safe. But at the same time, some of these guns shouldn't be on the street. There's no way you should be walking around with an AR-15, walking in clubs, taking people out and buying that legally. Like, unless you being an extra in a movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger, why are you owning a damn gun that belongs in Predator?
What trips me out is the defense of an AR-15 is really a semi-automatic. Like, no, dude,
yeah.
you are not Rambo.
Exactly.
You are not the Terminator. You are
exactly.
not, you are not some superhero who's gonna come over the hill with his gun slung over his shoulder to save the fucking day. You are cutting people in half.
Yeah. What are you
Well,
killing? A
Yeah,
million?
what are you doing? What are
so
you doing?
if you know my take on guns, you have a gun, death. But I'm serious. Like, guns should be banned, illegal. The only people that should carry guns, the military, and I guess law enforcement. Because if you put yourself as individual in a situation where you have to deal with the police and they feel threatened, because usually that's the case when another
Yep.
black person gets murdered. If there's no guns, you have the power.
But
You
Yeah.
even
know?
with cops, though, I mean, I feel like part of the problem is we're making exceptions. You know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
in
I
London,
totally think
in
you should
England,
ban guns. They do
in
it in
England,
England.
in
Yeah,
England,
I've
cops
seen
don't
it.
have guns,
Yeah, they got
and they
batons.
police quite effectively, from what I know.
But
Yeah.
but now with all the guns out here in the streets, you can't just say, "Yo, everybody, give me your guns. Here's some sticks." It's crime rate is
No,
gonna go up about 1,000% tonight if that was the case.
but you might not die as quickly. You know, you'll have a chance. I mean, look, like I said, ban all guns.
Yeah, bro. Start it now.
Start it
It's
now.
but
You
it's
get
such
caught
a
with a
big
gun.
it's such a big business. Like I agree with you, but fucking America's not gonna do that, man.
But that's why the fight comes in, D. That's why we're talking about this has to stop because we can't be afraid of the quote unquote big
All right.
business.
Well, if we get rid of guns, we're gonna be reliving Ronnie King again. I mean, it goes back to a bigger topic. Yeah, guns are killing people as well, but it's also about police brutality, which is what we're talking about.
So okay, so then and that's the case. I think to the last question Kim asked about how do we get unity within cops and society, maybe they should have where's a meet and greet with the cops. Know who the hell's protecting you.
Well, yeah,
Because know who I am, opposed to judging me when you see me outside, bobbing my head or chilling. You thinking I'm out here doing something illegal? Know me
Yeah,
first.
I agree. That's a problem with cops because when it comes to electing politicians, they're quick to walk in your neighborhood. You got to know who they are. But when it's cops, it's like, nah, you don't need to know that neighborhood.
Yeah, shut up
Never
and get
been to
against
that
the wall.
neighborhood. Yeah, so now it's the outsider coming in. I feel cops, like you're saying, like, for example, Thanksgiving, cops, people volunteer, they're handing out turkeys, they're doing stuff. Like, I don't know if they do it as much, but it should be something where weekly they're in the communities, they're helping out less fortunate people. Don't you
Yeah.
think people respect cops when they see them like, yo, that cop gave my son a sweater. We couldn't afford anything. Or that cop brought a jacket to this drive. Like they need to increase. They need to make their image more friendlier.
But
Unfortunately,
they have to change the culture in dealing with the unknown. So cops are trained to deal in situations and make an assessment. There needs to be something part of the training regimen where it teaches them to deal and de-escalate situations instead of escalating. Because it seems like cops are antagonizing violent behavior. And on our part, you know, we have a antagonistic view throughout history against law enforcement, but we also have to respect the badge. Because sometimes when I was young, I was belligerent for no reason because I was raised on police brutality. But I have to understand where the cop is coming from, and the cop has to understand where I'm coming from. And there has to be empathy on both parties. Now, like I said, on my part, I don't want to give the cop a reason to result in aggression. And the cop needs to understand aggression is not always the answer. There needs to be understanding. And like I jokingly said, if cops learn like jujitsu, you can disarm. You have the gun. If I don't have the gun and you can disarm a person through
yeah,
like physical altercation, you won't die. You know, the only time I've seen somebody choked was the guy selling cigarettes, and that's not a jujitsu move. But I was like, if you teach in Hawaii, they teach the cops jujitsu, and they properly can escalate a situation. Retrain these guys to deal with people in a physical way. You know, you
Well,
can armbar somebody and they won't die.
Yeah, that's true.
Also,
So go ahead, Josh.
also, my uncle who lives in Dover, Ohio, he pointed out something that he used to live. He's OG. He used to live in New York, and he was like, "Nah, I'm gonna end up doing something to somebody that's gonna land me behind bars if I stay in New York." This was in the '70s, and so he took off, moved to Ohio, and he came back a few years ago and was like, "Yo, there's two white officers on the corner, and then there's another two white officers down the block."
that was new to him.
And he was like, "Yo, this is bananas." I was like, "Why?" He was like, "This could never happen around my way. This would never happen in my hood. There's at least one black cop per pair, if it's not two black cops."
This is in Ohio that you're talking
This
about, or
is in
back in the day
Ohio.
in New York? Okay.
This is in Ohio, and he's like, "Yo, this would never happen." The one time that he said he saw it, he made a call to his local precinct and was like, "Yo, what is this? What do you think's going on? Like, he was belligerent. What do you think this is? And I think, and I bring that up to say, I think that speaks to, if you, and that's not to say there aren't rogue black cops that are out here doing dirty the same way, but I think if you have someone who's of your culture, who speaks to your experience, who knows what it's like to be a black person in this world, walking around wondering whether or not the next altercation or the next time that you buck up against a cop might be the last thing you ever do or see. I think there's something to that. I think there's something to someone who can speak to both sides of the coin, obviously enforcing the law, but at the same time being able to speak to your experience as a person who's been oppressed by law enforcement. Frankly.
Okay, and I will say on the offense of cops, if we're going to teach about what they need to do, we also need to talk about what we need to do as well. So pretty much, I mean, it can't be, F the pigs, I don't F with cops, because if you want fairness, it has to be on both sides of the fence. Because again, you can't have a cop just say, okay, I can't do this, I can't do that, but yet you can call me pig. My life is on the line. I got a family too. So I think if we want this to work, everybody has to come together and make this work together. Not saying that we have a reason to get shot and all that, but I'm talking about as far as that not being judged and that peace factor. I think we all have to come together and say, you know what, I'm gonna let these guys do their job, and you know what, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and just what it is. But that's what I think. That has to take effect as well.
And
I
also
agree,
too,
I agree with
you
that
have
to
to.
a point.
Oh, so good.
Sorry, I agree with that to a point, because I feel like if you work a customer service job, your job is literally to serve customers. So if you come in and I'm the sales clerk, and you come in and you feel like you want to be able to just talk to me any kind of way, I'm not suggesting that you just sit there and take it, but that is kind of what the job is. You're dealing with the
That's a
public.
great analogy, Josh.
Okay,
You know what I'm saying?
but we have to respect the badge though
Let him
too.
finish. Yeah, let him finish.
Yes, you do have to respect the badge, but at the same time, my job is to deal with you as you are. My job is to de-escalate if I can, and if I can't, just go through the process of whatever it is I'm there to do to serve you, whatever way it is that I'm supposed to do that. In the case of officers, listen, if I call you a pig, if I talk about your mama, if I said, you ain't washed your clothes and you stink, whatever it is, to a degree, you're there to take that and mete out whatever the law dictates in a given scenario when we're interacting. And that's
You know what the problem with
Anything
that
else
is?
extra.
With cops, I read somewhere, I think it was in the Washington Post, they get trained to use a gun. They spend up to 60 hours learning how to handle a gun for dealing with, just like you're saying, to de-escalate those, like a situation like you're talking about, or to handle someone that's mentally ill. They only get 8 hours apiece on training for that.
And
So
it
that's the
shows.
problem.
It
Yeah.
shows.
It goes back down to that training.
And also too, the thing where the other part we're talking about, going back to economics, is people assume the police are there to protect and serve, but they're there to protect and serve more the wealth. Like you're on someone's property, you are doing something that's not yours, or that type of thing. So a lot of times you have people that are literally the same economic level of you, this being the cops, and they're sitting there protecting, the business or the building or whatever physical thing that's rich, because what people also don't understand about all these killings too is true, black people, we are getting killed, but at the same time everyone else that's getting killed is all in the same economic level, or a good chunk of them. You're not hearing freaking the upper middle class white dude get killed in his yacht on a random day on the boat. So what the thing is, what people don't understand
But
is
he's not getting pulled over because he has blonde hair.
Exactly. But the other thing we're also going to remember too is, the police are trained to, and this is kind of like what BET was talking about de-escalate and not kill. And like you said, they're trained more about their gun than they are about their whatever. So it goes in the general point where it's like you have a lot of people that, again, same economic level. So when they see, and this is blue, this is black, white, Asian, Mexican, da 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 da. When they see a brown person, in their head they're like, well, brown person usually means dangerous. White person usually means not. and that's kind of the thinking that the level of across the board of the whole United States. So it's almost like a retooling of literally the whole nation of police officers for that to happen. and to not to
But
go too.
Cam. That's not even cops. You're saying everyone in general, though, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And this is the part I was trying to get to because the other thing that happens as well is we also hero worship police officers, military, and fire department. So if you're a police officer, you're automatically a hero. And people that are in law enforcement, people that are in military, they will tell you that's not the case. There is a section of people that are 100% heroes. There's a section of people that are 100% assholes. Then there's a big section that are influenced by whoever the hell's around them. So if you're in a bunch of places where there's a bunch of assholes, you're more than likely going to either be an asshole or look the blind eye while they're doing some shady stuff. Or if you're around really good people, you're going to be really good as well. So there's like it has to be literally a fundamental shift in the whole country in terms of the heroism of it. Because again, every time a cop kills somebody, black, white, Asian, whatever, what's the first thing that happens? Administrative paid leave, period, automatic.
It's the
jump.
idealism of how law enforcement does their policing.
Mm-hmm.
That's the change that needs to happen, and that's the structural influence that's been set in place and conditioned since I don't know when. But that needs to change. The whole idea of how they approach different ethnicities, races, creeds, colors, whatever, needs to change. And there needs to be an open forum and an open discussion, not only amongst the cops, but amongst, like I said, the cops and the community to have some type of understanding, empathy. You know?
But it goes deeper. That's race relations right there.
Yeah,
It's
but
bigger
that's
than
the
cops when you're talking about it. You know what I mean?
but it starts there though. That's the start. That's scratching the surface, and people have to have a fundamental understanding of where to start and dig deeper, because this is like it's weird to me that we could have such blatant. We've seen it on cameras where if you're white and you do something, you get treated. If you're black and you do something, it's obvious. But why is that happening? Like, it's not as simple as just like, oh, they just hate us and it's racist. There has to be some fundamental root that we need to get to as a community and as a people.
And I think also the automatic benefit of the doubt, because you're never going to root out bad people. Cops are people at the end of the day. So you have bad cops, you have good cops, and no matter, let's say 25 years down the line, we've eradicated all the problems that we had that we've seen in the last week. There's still going to be bad cops. And I think to the extent that that's the case, this automatic benefit of the doubt that officers receive when something happens needs to go away. If you are seen as violating a crime, you're innocent until proven guilty, yes, but your ass is taken off the street, handing your badge, handing your gun. No, you're not getting paid. Yes, you sit in a jail cell unless you get arraigned, the whole bit. You run through the system. You run through the system the exact same way. And I think the lack of impunity where these cats are running around being able to do the things that they're doing, I'm gonna be on administrative leave, it's paid, or I'm gonna be on desk duty and that's paid. And there's an out. There's no fear of reprisal. There's no fear of, if I shoot this dude, I might go to jail. So let me
I agree. There has to be a heavy amount of accountability on the end of a police officer, because they ultimately are, like I said, they're supposed to be trained to deal with a majority of situations within the community. They're there to protect and serve. And throughout history, especially my history, when a cop is accused of murdering somebody, more than likely, we're not surprised that they get off.
Well, you know what the issue with that is? It's they're not being tried by like independent prosecutors.
Yeah, exactly.
They're dealing with the district attorney every Tuesday.
Policing needs to be policed. It has to be changed.
No, you're right, and that's actually one of the biggest issues that they were talking about as well, is because again, you have a system, and it's much like the military. When there's stuff that happens within the military is the ones policing it, and because of that, a lot of those crimes go unpunished. So you're sitting there, and they were talking about this as well, about quote unquote activist cops, where the breaking that code of silence. We're like, this dude was doing some shady ish. You bring it to your superior, and then now you're ostracized for ratting out your fellow coworker that was a horrible person.
Right, even if you were right.
Yeah. Even if you were right, and so that also plays into it too. So there's so many multi layers to all of this.
So
because
why do police officers get punished for ratting out the bad police officers?
Because they're trying to make money. It's a fraternity. Your brother.
But you're protecting evil.
This is
If one
true.
of us was doing something bad,
On a smaller scale, it's almost like if you know your man was cheating on his girl, you gonna tell on her? You gonna tell
but
his
this
girl?
different. No one dies.
No, it's
Majority of
not.
the time.
It's not
No,
different. It's
it's
not
not.
different.
It's
Philosophically,
loyalty.
it's not different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's the
like
same.
yeah, and
If we could,
also
if we could spice in Cameron right now saying I don't snitch, like it's in the mentality in the hood. They're not snitching on
Man,
each other.
look,
Yeah,
Yeah.
if I'm black or white
Yeah.
or whatever, and I see my own race getting murdered, I'm speaking up on it, man. Like this is bigger than an ideology that
But
we've come up with. There's nothing written saying I
that's
can't tell somebody that you're wrong.
that's
that's
true, but
very easy
also
to say
too,
from
but
this
you,
from this side
exactly,
of the
this is
fence.
and this
but
is
what
why.
about your livelihood, like you stated earlier?
But also,
People.
what everyone's forgetting too is, the once you become a police officer, or you're in the military, or you're in those type of things, race is still there. It doesn't go away. But
Right.
then now it's replaced with the blue. So just like the Ferguson situation with Freddie Gray is a good example. The 6 people that were all indicted, half of them were black. And each one, there had this whole conversation about, oh well, I didn't know that this person didn't have his seatbelt on, or I didn't know da 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 da. So like again, race is part of it because black people are getting killed in the streets just along with everybody else. But then again, it goes back to the blue, and so that's the other layer that has to change as well. So you have to have one layer where we know not just the police are quote unquote policing themselves. The other layer where people that you see freaking bad, you see something, you say something, and then you have the other layer again where you have the general public that has a animosity to the police officers. And so like I said, this is just it's deeper than just like, hey, don't kill us. There's literally like 5 to 10 layers of this crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. If I'm a cop and he killing my people, man, I'm gonna stand up and say something.
No. We were talking about if something happens in your neighborhood and someone does it and you see it, you're not gonna speak out. That's we're not saying.
Well,
If
okay,
you see,
so see,
yeah.
that's different. That's different
No.
because
That's
look,
what I was talking about with the Cameron no snitching, and
yeah,
that's how cops view it
but see,
themselves.
Cameron he represents another ideal. If you're a grown man and you not quote unquote, we call it with the shit, you know what I'm saying? Like you see something bad go down, like you're more than likely gonna call the authorities because you don't want to be in the neighborhood. Yeah, but again, I mean, it's supposed to be like
Yo,
that.
I could tell you guys a story, but I would be dry snitching right now.
Oh yeah, no, but
And you probably know what I'm talking about. When
You don't
we knew
do that.
we got, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You can't,
You
and
can't.
we knew, and karma came back around and got the other person. But
hey, but I also think, man, as the older you get, man, you get fed up with it because we young.
that's
And
true.
we
That's
hold
true.
this ideal of not snitching, but watch when y'all get older. Y'all gonna be like, man, damn this, what they gonna do to me?
Yeah.
You know what
I
I'm
don't
saying?
know, dog.
I lived a good life, man, but I don't want to see this around my neighborhood.
But also too,
But
one of the good articles that I was like, one of the articles that I read, in the wake of all this was a former police officer, a black dude, and he gave a story where like, he's with his, it was a female white cop, and she had an altercation with literally a black 18-year-old kid on crutches, and this dude, like, she basically said that this dude assaulted him, clearly didn't, and another officer was like, what happened? Officer was like, he assaulted me. This dude's on crutches. The other officer comes up, punch dude in the face. He's on the ground, like, get up. He's like, dude, I have a freaking broken leg already in a cast. I can't get up. And
mm,
then proceeded to beat his ass. And so the other thing that I actually was reading up even more was on top of just the police killings and stuff like that, but police officers are more inclined to rough up black Americans over everyone else. That's the handcuffs, that's the slamming on the ground, that's the punching in the ribs, that's the forcibly taking them down, that's the more officers to quote unquote subdue a subject. And so not just the again goes back to the killing part, but it's also just how police officers automatically treat black people like kind of like they're superhumans, Mike Brown and those kind of situations.
It be
But
feeling like they be like, man, my life was threatened. I'm
yep,
like,
100%.
I don't have a gun. Like,
Yo,
like you
100%.
have the gun.
Because the way they're looking at this black person is that they are a threat no matter, like they said, Tamir Rice, dude he's a 12-year-old kid with a fake gun and literally got rolled up on by 3 cops, like
yeah,
a kid.
and that's
Or
an
the
open
other,
carry state too.
yep.
You can walk
And
around
then
with your gun.
the other one that even baffles my mind on top of all of this was the cosplay kid that was in Walmart. This fool he put a sword on layaway, picked up his sword in Walmart, put it on his back, went to go pay for it. Someone called the police on him, said there's a black man with a weapon in Walmart. Police came and took this dude out. He
Yeah,
had
Shaw.
he had a freaking katana. What the hell are you gonna do with people?
Bell was ice on the cake for me. 51 shots and everybody walk. Come on, that's ridiculous, man.
Diallo was it for me.
I could throw 51 M80s at somebody at top and I get life. Yeah.
I mean, we all have a story of where, we see cops abuse the power, but it's just
we're tired of stories, Ken.
Yeah, we're tired of stories. Well, I mean that comes, after so much pain and suffering, people are going to fight back. But the way we're fighting also is not the answer. There has to be another way around it.
And that's the part that I kept kind of stressing is someone asked me, do you feel safe going home tonight? And I actually said yes. I'm like, I live in New York City. The chances of me getting roughed up by the police has always been higher than anywhere else in the United States. But I didn't feel any more than yesterday or today. And the reason why I say this personally, because when I was at work, I'm making a video. We're talking about people that died and all that kind of stuff. I'm working on it. Right when the dude Alton Sterling had passed away, I go to bed. 12 hours later, I wake up and Philandro Castillo gets killed. So I have to change said video and add another new person in. And again, this is not even skipping a beat. So it's almost to the point where it's not even a comfortable thing, but it's almost like it's already there. So I didn't feel no type of way in terms of oh man, I better watch my back as I'm walking down the street. I actually didn't. I was like, I'm living in this all the time. So to me, it didn't really feel anything even extra, besides the extra attention to it, the social media, the regular media, this and all that stuff. And then on top of all that, go to bed again. And during the middle of the night, you got the whole Dallas shooting stuff that had to happen.
Yeah. Well, I personally, my girl and I, she was literally crying the whole night after that incident happened. I stood there on the couch and she said, Aunt, what are we going to do with our kids out here the way society is going? And the only thing I told her was I'll be damned if this happens to my son. How can I prevent that? And I don't know if I can. And I took it so serious, and it was, for me, it was scary but real. It's what can I do to help where I can promise myself I take my kid to a daycare on Nathaniel, he's going to be 13 this year. He goes outside, and my promise he's coming home is real. And
well, not to cut you off, but the thing is, okay, you can't do anything on the cops' end, but as a father, you can educate your kid and how to deal with the situation.
But think about it. The cat Castile who died, he did everything that we're supposed to do.
Quote unquote, right.
No, I know. I'm saying we don't know the story until it comes out, but the story that we've been told, he did everything right and still got killed.
The issue I have with that is okay, he did everything right, allegedly, right? And if the guy says I'm licensed to carry a weapon, and the dude's don't reach, I'm not reaching. You know what I'm saying?
No, of course. I think in the video, his girlfriend or his fiance was saying you asked him to take past his wallet, and he was reaching for his wallet, and you shot him. The cop was like, "Let me see your driver's license, your ID." So I guess he was reaching for that, and that's what happened.
Because if a cop says license and registration, and I say, "Oh, by the way, I'm licensed to carry a gun," and he says, "Okay," and I'm saying my next question is what do you want me to do next?
Yeah,
I mean, you as a cop or you as Castillo?
Me as Castillo.
Yeah.
And he has to be clear in his instructions.
Here's the thing. I'm assuming that he didn't just get his open carry license the day before that happened. That didn't stop some ridiculous number of times, 50, 60 times over the course of a few years. So this is not his first rodeo. This ain't day camp for him. So my guess is he is well versed in how to address an officer and how to deal with an officer when he gets pulled over. He didn't die before this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
we also heard the audio why he was pulled over. It wasn't for a busted tail light.
That's a whole other ball.
Yeah.
For having a wide nose.
But also too, just to put more of a finer point is, when Alton Sterling died, that's even a crazier story. Now he was literally number 595th person to get killed by the police in 2016. By the time the Dallas shooting, there was 610 people had died now. So
That's
by the time
ridiculous, yo.
and this is within 72 hours. So between Alton Sterling and Philandro Castillo, 4 other people died, not black. So that's the other thing too that I know everyone always like we have this big like all lives matter versus Black Lives
But
Matter.
yeah, we don't know
But
how they died. These could have been bank robbers that got shot by a
and
cop. We
then
don't
that's
know.
the and again I thought the same thing. So what I started to do is I started researching. I started looking at it.
Yeah.
One was a suspect that shot somebody. Another one was breaking an entry. Another one was someone that had a Facebook argument with a police officer,
Oh,
and the
Louisville.
off duty police officer shot homie black dude. And so like I said, these stories are insane. And
Insane.
again, back to what Ant was saying about guns, it's like you're right, dude. We don't know how to act. We might have to take these shits away. Like
Yo,
straight up. Like what are we gonna do? Every other civilized country in the world, they had quote unquote mass shooting, anywhere from 5 to 10 people. Yo, all the guns done, and they haven't had mass shooting since.
Like I said, Cam, I said it should be a law passed. You own a gun, you get the death penalty. No ifs, ands, and buts about it. That's it.
And where are they getting all these guns from? That's the root of it. You can't tell me somebody walk into the store and let me get 55 AKs, let me get
They
18
are,
shotguns.
Yeah, they are. They
And
totally
that's
are.
from these
So-
stories.
There needs to be a law that says turn in your gun or turn your life over.
It
Yo,
can't-
whoa!
that's
Now
what I
you
feel.
you stepping on my Second Amendment rights, there, brother.
and that's,
Change the amendment.
change the amendment. That
I mean,
amendment.
it's tough to
Yo.
say that with now that cops are becoming more of a military.
But
But
People,
it's
people are going to want to protect themselves.
Like,
I might.
this is
might-
the reason why I'm going to say that. The reason why I don't think the Second Amendment will change, back to what we were talking about before, is about money. NRA is huge.
Yo.
And these dudes spend so much money on lobbying. And this is the part, again, when this want to talk about knowing the system and understanding why this is. There's a reason that the NRA is super huge. There's a reason why they have the money and they pump it in. And it's the funniest part is their own members don't even agree with half the stuff they're doing. And the dude, Philandro Castillo, was a member of the NRA.
Yeah,
They're not-
that's my second question. How come they didn't speak up on his behalf?
Well, let me ask this question: was there, when they signed that amendment, was there slavery at that time?
Second Amendment? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, of
So-
course.
Oh, no, you know what? Let me Google it before I automatically agree.
I know I see what you're saying, Ant, but at the same time, again, as we're talking about changing the whole,
Slavery when they wrote the Constitution. But go ahead.
yeah. But as we're talking about changing the whole mentality of a nation and how we police each other and how we police police, as well as how we view the police, we'd have to once again look at the Second Amendment, and again, which is almost as American as apple pie. As people like to talk about it because we're Americans, we're cowboys, and blah 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 blah. It's a fundamental shift of the whole nation, and then the Second Amendment, because again, we have literally 2 guns for every citizen in America, but those guns are in only 20% of the populace. That shit is insane. That should scare you more than anything.
Honestly,
The Second Amendment was around when slavery was around.
And I honestly believe 90% of people who wrote that probably had a slave in their house mopping their floors.
Yeah, of
It's
course.
the same with the Constitution.
So for me,
You're gonna go-
exactly. So for me saying that, I could give a F about these laws, man, because these laws was never meant for us to begin with. They maybe made them more compromising for us, but half these laws ain't for us. It's just the struggle's real. So I don't care about these laws. If it has to be broken, if we have to sit there and keep going to court for the next 4,000 years, we have to do it, man. Because I'm tired of living behind these laws. Was never meant for us to begin with. They hated us a couple of 100 years ago. How all of a sudden the laws is for us now?
How come has anybody ever protested about reforming the Second Amendment?
Yeah.
It should have been that. Yeah, a lot of times.
Unfortunately, unfortunately, you don't have as much money as they do. But again, this goes back to what I said about actually understanding the politics, the laws, and the civics. And there's and people don't really understand what lobbyists do. People don't really understand what these politicians are getting. So when you say, like I say for instance, Obama was like, you know what, I'm going to sign a freaking executive order to repeal the Second Amendment. And they're like, well, you can't do that because in the Constitution, to repeal the Second Amendment, you got to go through Congress, you got to go blah, 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 blah. Like, this is the reason that people that are in power are taking advantage of an uninformed populace.
Well, how many people needs to die before we need to really revisit
Yo,
killing me
man, them
lost.
dying
But
does not hurt other people's bottom
But
line.
there you
but
go. I was just about to
but
say it has zero. Sadly,
Yep.
as
so
Sadly.
as
so we're
amped
trying
up
to
as
say
it sounds, it
so
doesn't impact anything
so the moral of the story is the almighty dollar wins again.
Yep.
at the
100%.
end of the day.
Until
Yep.
you
Is what it
start,
all comes down to.
Yep.
and ultimately, we only have a discussion when the opposite end gets killed and gets the same
Mm-hmm.
type of repercussions that the oppressed have been going through. Because no, really, not a lot of people spoke out until there was an immediate threat of retaliation,
Mm-hmm.
which
Mm-hmm.
is sad.
Yep.
It is true. There's a couple people that I follow on Twitter, and when the retaliation happened is when they spoke out. And I'm like, I just started looking like, really? Did you talk about what happened earlier in the week? And I scrolled through. I'm like, okay,
Yep.
I see where people, where
And
their
we
agenda and where their thoughts lie.
and that goes back to the heroism of police officers and that article about that former police officer talking about that. He said the same thing. He was like, in America, we automatically put every person that volunteers to be a police officer, that puts their life, that's their job, put their life on the line and to protect and serve, as a hero. And he was like that, and not everyone deserves that actual title. And it was interesting because my friend, he was former military, 2 tours in Iraq, one in Afghanistan. He said the same thing. He was like, I was with a bunch of numbnuts half the time. He's like, there was some genuine like heroes. There's genuine people that had my back, and then there's a bunch of people that are just not even good people. Period. Yet them being in the military automatically quote unquote qualify them as a hero in America heroism. So again, we have so many different fundamental changes in thinking across the board, on top of the politics that it takes, on top of the money that it takes. And then, so that's 3 levels right there. And then again, after all this is said and done, like as we said earlier, it's more about money. So everyone that has money in the elites, they're kind of like, oh man, look at this.
So
Minorities and the poor people are protesting again. That's cute.
so we're gonna lose this war because half these guys is past. They're wealthy. They're not. They own corporate. There's bigger than just a 9 to 5. These guys hire us. So we're not gonna win the money route, unfortunately. So it's gonna have to be
Uh,
another way we go through this. We can't. It's already embedded into this country. They own everything. We own
I
just a
think
little bit.
No, I mean there can be a change if
there
people
can be a
want to
change, and I
Yo,
think
D, we ask them for loans for money to run our business.
you're right.
We don't have banks, so it all
Yes, we
comes down
do.
to
Yeah,
it,
there are, but there's not a lot.
Yes.
it
There's
ain't enough to win this.
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to what we're talking about when
not a
people talk about
competition.
when people talk about the dollar and talk about supporting black-owned businesses and stuff. And it always interests me when someone gets on that rah rah, which is like that's dope. But you say that when you have Nike on your feet, say Gap jeans on, Fruit of the Loom,
Yep.
Hanes T-shirt, a star, like what I'm saying, like
Who you
literally,
think own that?
yeah, and like literally everything on your body is not a black-owned business, and then you're driving in a not black-owned car. Like, so if you
Yeah.
really, there's all these things that it's a level. You got to start with somewhere, like Killer Mike was saying, talking about how he wanted to, put the emphasis on the banks and that kind of stuff. And I've heard other people talk about how churches that usually do have an influx of a lot of money because they're in poor neighborhoods, and people, especially when there's bad things happen, was the first thing they do. Let me throw money in the church because then God will pay me or whatever. But those types of banks, and since they are tax free, I'm sorry, banks, churches, because they are tax free, could actually become their own banks and help their own community. And that's another way. So there are different levels, and again, we got to go back to those solutions. But it's a mix. It's a mix of everything. It's a mix of being more informed and understanding how and why you're getting oppressed, because these laws literally are written because these people don't understand them and and they will, like, just like you said, they could tell you who got dunked on 10 years ago in the NBA finals, but they couldn't tell you who their congressman was or what law just got passed yesterday because you weren't paying attention. So those are those things that the uninformed populace is part of the reason. And social media informs it. Love and hip hop, freaking the Kim Kardashians, like all this shit is there specifically so you don't pay attention to real things. And then when it hits home with all these killings, then all of a sudden we're kind of like, wait a minute, stop, pay attention, everyone, stop. What's going on? What's going on?
Yep.
100%.
And I guess that answers your question about athletes. Some athletes think the same way. Remember, half these kids, they're young, 21, 22. They trying to go to the Bahamas, man. They rich. Why should I give up what I bust my tail for? For the strength for people who might not even give a damn, and like you said, don't know what bill got passed yesterday.
Well, when it hits home and they're like, "Yo, why you driving an Aston Martin? Yo, pull over."
Mm,
and then they kick him in their face. That's when it hits home, unfortunately,
yeah. Or
for some people.
the cat that got his leg broken, in the NYPD, played for Atlanta, got quote unquote mistaken for a suspect, and
Cephalosha.
yeah, that shit was crazy. And I remember when the Daily Show did a whole little bit on it, and he was just like, "Yo, man, you did it. You fought the system and you won. How'd you do it?" He was like, "Oh wait, so you're rich? You had a good lawyer. You had a white friend to back you up, and all right. So all you got to do is be rich, have a good lawyer, and have a white friend to back you up. All right."
You know what it is too? Maybe everybody needs to go back to church, man. Maybe that's what's missing, man. We don't hear enough of that. Maybe we need to get something. Got to work, man. Something. I'm just giving us suggestions, man.
No, no,
Well,
no, no.
if we have a multi-layered problem, then we need multi-layered solutions. You know,
Exactly.
you have to attack it. You have to attack the problem at as each tentacle pops up. If there's a financial component, we control the money. We're consumers. We control where our dollars go. At the end of the day, we act like we don't, but we do.
Yep.
The voting booth is not the only spot. As a matter of fact, that's probably one of the last places because everybody's bought at the end of the day, even Obama.
Okay, so if I want pro that, tell me how I should do because honestly, I don't know if I was to do that today, I wouldn't know what to do because I don't see a lot of black-owned businesses to begin with.
Well, it's not just black-owned businesses. It deals with finances. It deals with education and being aware.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean it's a multitude of things. You know, everybody wants to understand like we have a problem and how we're going to solve it, but everybody has to do their part within your capacity.
Of course.
Yeah. Think globally, but act locally. And the other thing too is, it's kind of the same thing with our priorities. Like we're at a running joke where it was like decline of black wealth is because of hair and Jordans, and that was only just to be saying that like the priorities of a lot of people definitely aren't in building wealth and building that kind of stuff because a lot of people don't even know how to do that, and so they'll sit there and the bank card will get declined, but then those new Jordans just came out. I'm about to buy them real quick, and
that weave is mega tight.
And so they dropping 3K, they're dropping 3 racks on a weave, and then 5 bills on the new Yeezys, but they can barely keep the lights on or do all that stuff or send their kids to school or those type of things. And so
that's for everybody.
You know why it's hard? Because where people are letting TV and just like Cam was saying earlier, they're letting these other role models influence and raise their children. Like the other day, Snoop and Game, they were out here going to, I guess the police were graduating from the academy, and mad people were like, yo, who cares? You guys promote gun violence in your song, and now you want to do something. And I kind of get that too, because it's like, I get they want to do something to help out, but, yo, how many songs you got where you telling me throw on my red flag and go shoot somebody?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there has to be, you either one way or you're not. Like, if you want to rhyme that way, then tell me it's a story. Tell me a storytelling. Tell me, hey, you about to go watch a movie. This is not real, even though it is, quote unquote, some of it is. At least let people know that, yo, this is storytelling. I'm just reporting what's going on.
Yeah, but you can't dial that backwards, man. Like
you can't. You're not gonna get supported.
People are, then you end up being marginalized like a Talib Kweli. As great as he is, as great as a rapper he is, he's marginalized. He's never going to be, and I've settled on this. As dope as he is, he's never going to be on the level of a Jay, a Snoop, a Dre, or any of those cats, because he's talking about upliftment of the race. He's talking about being conscious. He's talking about he's on some I don't vote because the lesser of two evils is still not a choice.
Well, let me ask you a question. Hypothetically, what if everybody just wanted to flip and be conscious? You think somebody's not going to buy albums anymore and be like, we're going to cut? You think if Jay and all these power hitters was like, you know what, I want to be conscious?
Yep.
My personal,
but it's just like saying athletes should all make a stand. How about hip hop artists make a stand in every aspect, trying to promote positivity?
But I will say this in defense of rappers too. You can't blame them if they're talking about guns and somebody's intellect is not wise enough to say, you know what, I shouldn't kill somebody because they're talking about guns. If there's art and there's poetry, you can't fault them for that.
And it doesn't come down to being wise enough. I told you the story before. When I listened to Biggie's first album, I'm like, yo, this dude probably did rob a train when he was younger. I'm not even joking, though. I'm listening to the music, and I'm like, he's probably telling me stories that he went through. And then as I got older, I'm like, oh, damn, like he wasn't really doing all of this. But there's someone who might who might think, yo, I'm about to rob a train. So it's not
Someone a
about,
lot.
yeah, it's not about you not knowing what's right and wrong. It's just sometimes people don't understand what these rappers are saying. They take it as it's a real life story that they're really going through this.
And also, too, the other thing that people forget is, now we're in an era where you have being a rapper isn't necessarily a badge of like honor or anything like that. You have rappers that just doing it quote unquote for fun, that have no regard for where it came from, what it was doing. They just doing it literally because it's a hustle. It's something that's fun. They're putting out songs. They can barely freestyle. They don't really have any connection to anything that has to do with quote unquote the culture besides they just like rapping and they're just doing it. So they almost don't have a sense of responsibility as like say previous rappers that wanted to do it, saying like, oh, people are affected by my raps and stuff like that.
But
And
I can
so,
tell you, as the father of a 16-year-old, they don't have to, because
no,
none
you're right.
of the kids that are listening to them
Yep,
Exactly.
give
yep.
a half a toss about that.
Yep,
You know what
exactly, exactly. Like before, we would expect like if I'm listening to Wu Tang and I'm 13, I'm like these dudes might kill me. I'm kind of serious.
Seriously,
Like I
are
was
you
like
going to Staten Island? Yeah,
yo, I think they are gonna hit me, stick me with the rusty screwdriver. But
exactly. You
but
think
then
I'm going to
now
Queensbridge when I heard Mobb Deep was rhyming? I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'm not heading out to Queensbridge.
Yeah.
But now you got like little Yachi and freaking little Uzi Vert saying like mumble rap, and you're like, wait, what? Like what is this? I don't understand.
Well,
As an older person, but as a younger person, they're listening to this as party music. Oh, this is a party.
Right.
I do that stuff, and that's how they take it, and that's the extent of their rap knowledge and purview. So when you're telling me, hey, yo, Little Yachi is he's protesting with freaking Talib Kweli in Brooklyn, and they're talking about rights and da 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 da. Like what?
Wait, did that actually happen?
Hell
no.
I just like using him as an example because when I watched the Ebro clip where this dude could not freestyle to save his ass,
Please
and
don't
like
hurt my soul with that.
and the part where Ebro actually kind of threw him a line on some like, yo, some of the old heads say you guys don't really take this rap thing seriously and da 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 da. And he was like, oh yeah, I don't. This is just for fun. Like I don't really care about all that stuff that you're saying.
Well,
Like,
that's cool.
and it is cool, and it is cool, but it just that you're right, but it's the
No,
balance.
but it's not cool. Cause like if I'm not good at my job, I shouldn't be working. Like you know what I mean?
But
if you
good
do,
for some
okay, but like,
Well, what
Dwayne,
else
Dwayne,
you got
if you
killed?
do something for fun, man, you don't look at it as a job. You just look at it as just something you do.
And also, good at your quote unquote job is super relative, because while my daughter will listen to some Big Daddy Kane from when we were all kids, she'll also listen to some Designer. She'll listen to some Future. And
Okay.
and so it really becomes relative. If she knows that this is party music, she knows the
Yeah,
difference
that's a good
between
point.
lyricism. If she knows enough to know the difference between lyricism and whatever the hell these other cats are doing.
Yeah, I agree. I meant like if Little Uzi tried to become Chuck D, I'd been like, yo, come on, man,
Yeah.
put down the mic. Yeah, it's true. We all know what I
Little
want to hear in the
Uzi.
Let's
club.
keep it real. Let's keep it real. If we suddenly decided, if we suddenly understood what Designer was talking about, all of a sudden our heads would explode. We're like, whoa, I understood that. Why? How am I understanding? Have I lost my mind?
Exactly. Like, whoa, he's talking about a BMW?
Yeah, I mean, so to coming back to the whole situation, it's almost like, what do you guys think is people's personal responsibility to the to social justice in general? Do you think every single person of color, we'll just say yeah, in general, has some type of a responsibility to help or participate or something like that? Or do you think it's a case by case thing? Do you think it's just only the quote unquote rich people that have the profile? Do you think it's your own personal thing? Like, what do you guys feel like in general? That would be kind of like our final word, if you want to put it that way.
I would
Well,
say get in where you can fit in. Not everything is for everyone. Marching might not be for some people. Mentoring might be their thing. Mentoring might not be your thing. Starting a blog, or if you're a journalist, or you're a good writer that knows how to spin a good yarn. Yeah, I don't know. It really, there's no boilerplate. There's no hardcore template that says you should do this because you're black. Like everybody, it may be as simple as teaching your kid, and it may be as simple as sitting your son down and being like, look, this is what it is. These are your responsibilities. I didn't even have a relationship with my dad, and one of the things that he ingrained in me was he always talked about how he's not a Trinidadian. He's an African living in Trinidad, and that resonated with me throughout my life.
Okay.
He
I
was
respect
about
that.
it like that. You know what I mean? He
Yeah.
was seriously about it. So,
I agree.
Well,
just little
Josh, as
lessons
you
like
know,
that.
you're West Indian, so you know how we feel about when we get classified with fellow Americans.
Right.
It's just like, whoa, like, yeah, it's the same thing, sort of.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, use your platform. If you're an athlete, use that platform to speak out. Put a dent in what controls that entity. If you're a basketball player or an athlete in a certain particular sport, band together, make a stand. If you're somebody in the community, there's tons and a plethora of resources if you like to support the efforts of bettering the lives of young people. There's a lot of organizations out there that could benefit from your knowledge and resources and make that flourish. If you're a politician and you feel like this is an agenda, you need to take a stand on a political platform. Like I said, I agree with Josh. Everybody needs to do their part within their role, play your position, and if we come together, hopefully on a united front, there should be some awakening and some noise to be made, and hopefully some reform, because it's not going to just be one entity in this. Oh yeah, the players spoke out and no one else does anything. It has to be strategic, and everybody needs to come together. It's too many ice. It's like iso ball. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's got this. I got this grandiose thing to do it, but it's a team effort, and I also feel, like I said, not to reiterate past things, but it has to be more than just black people, like the non-Muslim or the non-black Muslims. You know what I'm saying? Have to step up and say this is not wrong, because when a lot Islamophobia comes out, we all come and together that united front. The gays have to come out and say this ain't right, because when there's a gay mass murder, we all feel the same way.
Yeah.
It's unjust. So I think every race, creed, culture, background that has the same ideology as people who are just and feel like this is wrong needs to stand up and come to a consensus on how to systematically approach and have some understanding with the problem at hand.
well said. And
Well said.
I think to chime on that, I check on a lot of websites and I look at people's comments just to see their take on the situation. And I notice that a lot of non-blacks say, well, reverse racism and what's such a big deal, and why is it always got to bring up the race card? So I think the first thing that we need to do is among the race is you need to talk to them of why we're so angry. Because for instance, my girl's Latino, and I think sometimes she looks at me like, yo, why are you so fucking angry? And I think she doesn't know where I stand as far as my background, how I was raised, black slavery. So all of that combined, I just have that raw emotion. I think that's what the separation is. A lot of people who's saying, why you're making it a big deal, Black Lives Matter, they really don't know of how we feel based off our history. So I think everybody needs to be educated on what the hell is going on with us and why we're so upset. Because I guarantee you there's some people out here who don't know what went on with segregation, slavery, like the depression, all that. Some people just don't know the real deal. And I think we all need to be educated first, so then therefore we can all have an understanding, so there won't be no confusion. I think
Um,
that's what.
yeah, and also what I was going to say to that is the other thing too is a lot of times non-black people, they almost don't know how to support. So someone expressed a feeling where they're like, there's a lot of people talking, and they felt very damned if they do, damned if they don't. So if they say something, like they're almost like saying something like people are. Us as black folks, as all this stuff's going on, it's a heightened sense of stuff that's going on, very emotional. So people are looking for non-black people to say a very specific thing, not an opinion. They don't want your opinion. They want you to say a very specific thing that's basically in line with what's going on with our emotion, which is on that end, that's one thing. But it's harder for non-black people to have that conversation with black folks.
But you know what though, Kim? Can I cut you off to tag on what you just said? That's the problem too. Why don't they know our history? Ain't we part of the great God of America?
Yes. Not to and
don't they
they
know about
do.
Christopher Columbus? Don't they know about this? Or are they ignoring the situation?
No, not at all, not at all. But at the same time, and I had to let someone know at the same time they were expressing their opinion, and I was telling them, I was like, yo, having your opinion is dope, but just understand the climate that you're having that opinion in. So and so it doesn't matter. You can say, and again, this it doesn't matter what that opinion is. I mean, because again, we're in America, everyone has an opinion, blah blah blah. But I was like you should have your opinion. You can have this conversation, but just know that if you start to have this opinion, in this current climate, people are less likely to listen to you because they're already in a heightened state of emotional sense. So when, say if you're non-black and you're like, well, okay, that's cool that you're protesting, but that's not going to solve anything. Why don't you guys get organized and do da 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 da? Of course, they're going to get attacked by people from all over the place. Oh, you're not supporting the black cause. Da 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 da. Like, no, they're just trying to be rational on some like, hey, let's put all of our focus in something that will help. And I get that. But what I was explaining to this person was like, to that person too, I was like, yo, you're right. This is a very volatile and delicate situation right now. Once this kind of like, and I hate to say it, dies down, then you start to have those more level-headed conversations, kind of like what Killer Mike was saying, talking about the financial aspect or someone else talking about the politics aspects. But again, for non-black people trying to empathize and do all that, I can see it's difficult, which it should be, but it also they have to also be mindful, and this is the part of the reason why so many people right now are unfriending people on Facebook because of their insensitive comments and
I
like
heard this hashtag delete me.
But the sad thing is, like, why are we in the shadows? Why are we in the dark? Why is our history like forgotten or not supposed to be talked about? It's history, right? It happened. So
right, but
go ahead, Josh.
To answer that, I mean, at the end of the day, to acknowledge what really happened on some realness, is to jeopardize. Well, I think people think they're going to jeopardize their privilege. Because equal footing, attaining equal footing is threatening. Because now I'm not looking down on anybody.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And so,
what do you mean by you're not looking down on nobody? What do you mean by that when you say not looking down on nobody?
Well, I mean, in order for you to feel superior, in order for white superiority to be what it is, you got to be able to look down the lane at somebody and go, well, I'm better off than that mofo.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I think a lot of things are predicated on that. I'm better than those savages that that kill each other over there in the black neighborhood down in Crown Heights or in Inglewood or wherever. Even though crime is crime, as we talked about earlier, white and white crime happens, black and black crime happens. People kill each other. There is no special formula that says we kill each other more than they kill each other. It happens. And so little societal stair steps like that, little pedestals that you're able to place yourself on, it means something. And so to own that, yeah, you know what? Your ancestors might have owned some slaves. You know what? You're benefiting from the fact that you're white, and I'm not able to do some of the things that you're able to do. I'm not able to walk into a bank and get the same loan that you seem so readily able to, even though you just moved into my neighborhood and I grew up here, and my credit's better than yours.
Yeah.
There's a level of, there's something about ownership of that is threatening, and then and yet you have examples of what I like to refer to as woke white people, like Tim Wise, like Dr. Elliott, who talk about our history and the things that prop up white supremacy in a way that I never could. They know more about our shit than I do.
But you know what? I'm not asking for a sorry. I'm just asking for understanding. That's all I want.
But
you know what it is with that too.
Apologists.
But also too,
I think a lot of.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I think when it comes to our history, it's a black cloud over it because people are ashamed of what happened. But I think that's an issue as well. We need to talk about what happened in America to get past this. And yeah, let's bring up slavery because Jews bring up the Holocaust all the time. It's not a competition, but you have to own what happened.
And I was actually, that's kind of like, that was the point that I was kind of making to, I was saying, I was telling my friend, I was just like, yo, you can have a rational conversation about race, but in a climate like that, like, you have to be very careful because it doesn't matter what you say, someone could be like slavery. And that's it. What else are you gonna say?
But that's where you got to be educated too. Don't come out saying like no idiot either.
Exactly, and this goes back to what I talked about before about the informed populace. And this is the part when I get upset with our own culture is because people have these extreme opinions about stuff without actually paying attention. So then you have white people that actually know our history more than we do, and this shit is sad. And this happens way more often than people want to admit it. So it's cool to be it's cool to be quote unquote woke. But it's like, yo, there are people that actually sit down and study this shit more than your average black person. And again, and people try to get past this because, oh, I'm black, so they're like, nah, man, yo, there's people out here that have
know your
no
history.
exactly. Like now, again, that's not saying that there ever can be black, but they are experienced this. They've studied the black experience so much. So when they ask you certain questions, they're asking it from a sense of like, well, I've seen that blah blah blah, blah happens. I've heard that this and this happened. Let's have this dialogue to see why this is, as opposed to the people that just want to go that just talk a big game but really don't really pay attention to the actual history.
Yep. So the moral is we all need to educate ourselves. Well,
Yeah.
And if you're not, if you don't know, you need to know.
Yeah, real quick, just like what Josh was saying earlier, we do have to all collectively chip in, whether it's us on this podcast, whether it's athletes, whether it's someone listening, whether it's an entertainer, and just like he said, you might not be able to go and protest and grab a microphone and yell, but go home and do something. Take some imagery that might help. Go volunteer. Like I think we get lost in our real world. Unfortunately, we do. We come home. We want to go play Pokemon Go and walk around and catch Pikachu. But donate 30 minutes. Donate an hour. Read something you don't know. Go find your local community center. Like try to figure out a way that you can help your own neighborhood because that's where it starts. It has to start locally where we live.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Like a branch out.
Yep, exactly. Because that's one thing I do. Like you said, I work on my household, and maybe that's what everybody needs to do. Like you said, it starts with your home. I make sure CNN is on the news websites. I have them doing reports on stuff because you have to be a teacher at home. You are a teacher too, and not ain't that for kids. Your brother, your mother. Teach everybody like if they don't know something, help them. That's the only way this is going to change.
And also too, I think it's also important to have those open dialogues with your non-black friends without being overly sensitive and overly combative.
It's true.
Like because a lot of times when people are asking you questions, they're asking 100% out of ignorance. And there's a certain level of ignorance where it's like, all right, now you're just being racist. But there is a level that's just kind of like, well, shit, you're asking this question. Let me answer it to you in a calm way so that you can have an open dialogue as opposed to just being like, yo, you look, you racist bastard, blah, 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 blah. Be like, well, hold on. I'm letting you know, and that might not be the best way to put that.
This is one of the reasons why I'm not on Facebook anymore. Like, just like you were saying, people were just running out, throwing out their opinions.
100%.
You only know half of the story. Like, I think instead of going out and asking questions, you're already saying, yo, this is
you're
wrong.
Making statements.
Yeah. Blue lives matter. All lives matter. No one's saying they don't. But right now, this is a crisis that's going on. It's being recorded. You're seeing people getting shot in the street. Like, we're talking about this right now. We're not talking about anybody else. We're not saying we all don't matter. But at this very moment, our house is on fire. So we need to put out that fire.
What was the analogy they use? You have a broken bone, you go to the doctor says all bones are broken, but let's fix this broken one currently. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So,
and I will say I understand everybody's pain, and I will never question if you're upset, but again, violence doesn't solve anything.
Yeah.
You can curse them out, you can you can go all in. But you have to be smart about this.
Yeah, and
you're not gonna win this war by doing that.
Yeah, and we're talking about someone brought up the police officers that got killed in Dallas, and I was like, again, that's somebody in the same economic realm lashing out at someone and another person that's in the same economic realm. Like if you want to, and I was like, again, not promoting violence, but if you want to freaking inflict harm on, look at people that are actually doing the harm to you: the superintendents, the police chiefs, the freaking lieutenant governors, the governors, the mayors, the people that are the senators. These people are actually writing the laws that are actually affecting you in your everyday life, not the foot soldier or the grunt or the actual police officer that's right next to you that literally is probably, if not in the same block, in a block over, literally only maybe making $5,000 more than you are. Like it goes back to more of an economic level where like this is the part where the elites versus the poor people happen because people really don't understand that basic level.
So Cam, what like I'm just thinking like what is the solution? Like today the Dallas police chief said some of you guys should get off the protest line and come be a cop. But then
He's not
I remember
wrong.
back in the
Part
days,
of it's not wrong.
but no, I remember back in the days where it was hard for some black people to become
To
a
get
cop,
his
and even
job.
and
Yeah.
even rise in the force. So it's like,
Yeah.
why you telling me one thing and then doing something else? And
Right.
it's the
Dude,
same
I
thing
have
with
family. I have family that's on the force,
yeah.
and I remember popping out of the house just on some, on some trying to be funny, on some, what's going on, officer? He's like, shh, dude, easy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
You know what I mean? And that's within the last year.
And it's almost like we gotta have freaking affirmative action in the police force.
Dude, I went to
When I was
John.
younger, I used to think being a cop was a cool thing. As a kid,
Same here.
Same here.
You know what I'm saying? And then there was a point in my life that I was just like, man, cops is not cool.
You
Like
saw-
it's not cool.
You saw Boys in the Hood, man. Just say it.
I mean,
You saw
it's just
Bernie back, and you was like, yo, wait a minute.
various things in my life that I've come across where I was like, man, I don't want to be a cop because I don't want to be looked down amongst my friends as a guy that's going to maybe eventually bust them. Because you have friends that either did some lightweight dirt and you're like, man, what side of the line I'm going to be on? Am I going to rock with my homies or I'm going to uphold the law? Do you have to distance yourself from your friends? It's like in any aspect. You become an NBA player and you got your crew you came up with, but your crew getting in bar fights.
Yep.
And you know what I'm saying? You're like, man, I got to cut them. You know what I'm saying? So, but then you also see the violence and the negative connotation and stigma that comes with being a police officer. So when people of the law enforcement say, if you want to change the system, become a cop, there is a point to that. But there's also a hesitation. Because you're stepping on that side of the line. But if you want to change the system, sometimes you got to be within the system and change within.
And I actually kind of agree with that too, in terms of like that was my biggest thing with Black Lives Matter as a full group. That we have when white people get mad, they get organized, they start forming super PACs, they start funding candidates, and they put the candidates in office, and then the candidates freaking pass laws to make their shit better. When black people get mad, we protest. And then we watch the Kardashians.
And then we go buy the new J's.
Yep. And
I don't buy no J's, man. Don't support that dude. He don't support us, man.
That's a whole other podcast.
We could definitely do that one in the near future.
Yeah.
Man,
that's
people
fun.
Ain't got no discipline, man. They want to, man. I don't know. Like, I know, but man, some people, I sometimes lose faith in certain people. Sometimes, there's humanity out there. I'm sure most of us have seen that little letter about the woman and the cop interaction and how there was empathy on both sides. But sometimes you look at it and like, man, sometimes we want to say, hey, let's sacrifice our finances and not only just not put our money into Black Friday, but every other Friday. Let's make a dent financially, like playing your part, do your part. Bill Belichick says, do your job. If we do our job, I'm sure, and we start to make some noise, and they start to take notice in that, man. If it's bad for business,
we can. I'm gonna tell you guys some stuff when this podcast ends, but I got some ideas.
Yeah,
but I can't say it because I don't want it to take off without me being in charge of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So what do you want me to do? Everybody, I want you to give a brief final word, and we'll sign it off. It's been a good discussion. I'm gonna start with Josh. You're the guest. Give us a final word, like something you want to leave the public with.
Just understand that if this doesn't get fixed, if we don't make this right, if we don't address the systemic racism and the institutionalized hierarchy that exists in society, where the cops are here, the cops get this automatic benefit of the doubt when they do stupid things like shoot a guy in the chest when he didn't do anything. Dallas is not gonna be the last time that something like this happens. I hope to God I'm wrong. I really, really do. But like I said earlier on, you can't keep slapping somebody in the face and expect them to keep turning the other cheek. At some point, something worse is going to happen, and that alone should be incentive enough to balance the scales. It's one of those situations where if you don't, you can only keep stomping down on somebody for so long before they push back, and it's not gonna be no light tap when they push back.
Nope.
It's just not. That's my thought. It's sad that it happened, but understand the context within which it happened, because people are like, oh, well, the narrative is shifted now. Now it's about the cops. Not really. People are still talking about what the impetus was for all of that. You know what I mean? And I think people see, well, yeah, even though it was wrong, even though we can all agree it was wrong. I don't know anybody who's on some, yeah, F the police. Yeah, that joint should have happened. You should have took out more cops. I don't know nobody who's on that. Nobody wants that to happen again.
Well, we won't talk about a running back who posted something on Instagram. But
We're not gonna okay, so we know one person.
All right.
Yeah.
And what's your final word?
My final word is I'm want to hear what the NRA has to say about somebody who has a permit to buy these guns and somebody still ends up dead. I want you to back him up like you back up everything else. And at what point is enough's enough? At what point you cannot keep saying an amendment? It's just a piece of paper at the end of the day. That's all it is. We need to go back and figure out a way. How can we change these amendments? Because, like you said, 600 people died in how long? It's ridiculous now. It's like a video game, man. It's Call of Duty out here. It's not supposed to be this way, man. It's not. And I'm pushing for that to change, and I'm going to do my research on who is backing up, getting rid of the Second Amendment, and who's fighting for that, and I'm going to decide what organization I'm going to join, with that movement, because I've had enough. I had enough.
Not bad, Cam.
There's a multitude of layers I would love to speak on, but for the most part, like I said, I'm not gonna live in fear because this is nothing new to me. I'm not gonna change the way I live my life because there's some bad cops out there, but I want to make the issue clear that this is just deeper than being good or bad cops. Personally, I don't want to see images of good cops because that's their job. That's what they get paid to do, is be good cops. We need to exploit these bad cops. I also feel like there needs to be a systematic and structural change in this institutionalized structural racism within the police department. There needs to be more empathy on both sides. Also believe that black people and everybody else who feel the same way needs to come together and band together, and everybody should do their part on whatever platform, whatever level you can do your part, either through educating your kids, having an educated conversation with kids, joining an organization, protesting if that's your thing, but anything that will make incremental positive steps to making noise, making a change that's in a positive light. We do not need additional killing. Violence is only a last resort when there is no choice to protect yourself. If no one's violent to you, you shouldn't be violent to that. There was no reason for these cops, what I'm perceiving as innocent cops, to be dying because of someone's personal preference. I understand a lot of people are angry and upset, and our hearts are heavy right now. But there needs to be a different approach. There needs to be a discussion, an open forum. Again, this is not nothing new. We had the same discussion last year about the same topics. We need to get past the discussion and get towards action that is going to actually make reform and change within the system.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Great, and we're gonna do our part, everybody, as a show, and we're gonna come together for y'all, and we're gonna see what we could do.
Dwayne, the last one.
I guess it's more on the cops. I think their training has to be kind of overhauled. I think, like I said earlier, cops need to be members of the community that they're working in and not armed foot soldiers. They need to go around. They need to know who they're talking to. People have to recognize who these people are. So that way it makes these interactions a lot easier. I think the broken window policy has to get tossed out the window. I don't want to be cliche, but broken window policy, they need to end that. It needs to be cops knowing who's in their community and coming together as one. It'll help out a lot with these issues that we're having. We don't respect cops because when we see them, they're telling you to do something or they're policing something, and it's tough. People don't respect them, and that respect, they're not going to get respect when we keep on seeing these videos and these images that we see every day.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true.
And Giuliani kissed my ass, sure.
that
I saw that clip. That was crazy.
That dude, it's a whole nother situation.
Mm-hmm.
I would say my final word is just like literally be an informed populace, because the uninformed populace is how we got to where we at now. And people really, 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 especially when it comes to on politics and civics, they really depend on the dumbness and lack of uh, information of people to do things. Like they do things in full light, knowing that most people don't pay attention. And so you have to start paying attention, because if you don't pay attention, that's how these things happen and these things get passed, and they negatively affect all of us just in a general situation. And so once you start to understand the system, then you can actually go ahead and freaking blow it up, because then you know where to blow it up and how to blow it up, and that's how you do that. There's way too many people that literally use their information of the system to get away with a lot of stuff, and that's literally, like I said, people just don't pay attention. If no one's paying attention, you can do whatever the hell you want. So that was mine. But like all things must come to an end, I want to thank everybody for coming out. This is the Table of Truth, and we are out.
One.
Peace.
Stay woke.
Illuminati.